Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here today for this Concept 3D workshop series. Today's topic, as you can see here, is going to be Events Calendar 101, a beginner's guide. And this is updated for 2024 with all the great changes we made in the last quarter or two. So this video will be replacing the one that exists on YouTube currently with all the updated changes to our permissions and event form included. If you have previously been on a Localist platform training, a lot of this information may be more of a refresher for you. But this presentation is geared towards a general audience. So if you have questions about your specific calendar page, please send an email to your dedicated client success manager, or you can always reach out to us at support@concept3d.com. This is the first in our winter webinar series. We'll be following up with Interactive Map 101 on February 6th. So be sure to join us for that. Really quickly, my name is Andy Marshall, and I am the head of support and education here at Concept 3D. I have been with Concept 3D or Localist since May of 2021, and I have previously served as the onboarding specialist for Localist and the client education lead for Concept 3D. And I will be your events calendar tour guide over the next 30 minutes. And again, if you do have questions about your specific calendar, please feel free to reach out to us at support@concept3d.com. All right, quick look at our agenda today. We're going to talk about those updated roles and permissions before we take a quick look at a homepage and an example of the Emphasis platform. Next, we're going to review the types of classification that you can apply to your event listings, followed by a review of your event submissions and how they get approved. We'll talk about a few additional features and tools that I go to greater lengths to talk about in the subsequent 201 or 301 segments of this series. And then lastly, if there are any questions, I will answer them live on the webinar. So please feel free to put them in the chat or add them in the Q&A as you need. All right, so the biggest change that Localist has made coming into 2024 is our new roles-based permission structure. And you can see here on the right an example of what this will look like in the admin dash when assigning privileges or permissions to your users. Now, the biggest changes that we made are, first and foremost, platform admins now have full access to the entire platform with only that permission. Previously, platform admins did require additional permissions to be checked off in order to receive access to the entire platform. That's no longer the case, as now simply being a platform admin will allow you to access all parts and aspects of your calendar, and you cannot be restricted. We've also created a new role called Calendar Manager, which oversees the entire front end of your calendar, but won't have access to things in the back end, like your domain and security, or your appearance or branding. This is only for events and dealing with classification or other items concerning the front customer-facing end of your calendar. Event admins are no longer. We've expanded that into 3 different roles that I'm going to get into in just a second on my next slide. But they are event managers, event editors, and event authors. And each of them have a different level of permissions and privileges that we'll talk about in just a second. Some other new roles that we created include system administrator. This is if you have a member of your IT team who might need to log in and set up things like your custom domain or troubleshoot any SSO issues. You can just grant them access to your admin dash via system administrator, and they won't even need to see any of the front end calendar concerning items that you'll have inside your admin dash. Next, we've created the theme developer permission, which allows you to have someone on your team whose only concern is the branding or setup of your display on your calendar. So when they log in, all they will see are the options concerning them, allowing them to update the branding and look of your calendar. Bulletin manager, channel manager, and group manager all remain relatively the same as previous bulletin admin, channel admin, and group admin. To add or edit bulletins, you'll need to be a bulletin manager. To add or edit channels, you'll need to be a channel manager. Or to add and edit groups and departments, you'll need to be a groups manager, unless you are, of course, a platform admin, which will automatically have access to all of that. So as I was saying, I created this chart here to kind of make it a little easier to understand what is available to each of the new event editor roles. So first and foremost, in this first column, we have Event Manager, and now they have access to everything that concerns events on your platform. So they have access to your admin add event form. They can publish their own events. They can bulk upload events or set up a feed URL, and they can feature or sponsor events as needed on the platform. Now, event editors, they also have access to the admin forum and can publish events, but they're not able to bulk upload events or set up feeds. Lastly, they are able to feature or sponsor events on your platform. And then lastly, event author, really the only perk you get as an event author is access to the admin event form, which has more fields to make more robust event listings. However, they do not have access to publish their own events. Someone will need to review their events before they're published, just like a member of your community. They are not able to bulk upload events or set up feeds, and they cannot feature or sponsor events. If you were working previously with allowed excluded filter results, those can only be applied to your event editors and event authors. They cannot be applied to event managers. And more on that in a different slide. All right, we're going to take a look at the calendar homepage. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my presentation here and just jump right into the Localist homepage. Now, this is an example homepage that I set up for presentations like these, just surrounding Concept 3D client success, with a couple fake events here just to kind of illustrate some of the features and functions of your homepage. But we'll start right here at the top, where you'll be able to find your user icon and log in and reach the admin dash or your personal dashboard if you ever need to reach that once you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you'll see a login or sign up button. Here's the first of 3 submit an event buttons on your homepage. You'll find a bigger one further down below here in the planning event component, and then another smaller one here in your footer, just in case. Scrolling back up, you see this item here is called your featured carousel. Now, applying that featured designation to an event will allow that image associated to that event show up here in this nice big event carousel. This is the most prominent way that you can feature an event on your platform. And we'll talk a little bit about different ways to feature events. But if you want something front and center to go through this rotating carousel, you can go ahead and feature your event, and it will appear here above all of your other events. Speaking of, here are all your other events. You have 2 tabs here, which are out-of-the-box functionality with Localist. So your trending tab brings into account a lot of the popular features and events on your calendar. So things that have a lot of shares, a lot of people interested, sold a lot of tickets, a lot of clicks, those are going to be automatically at the top of your trending algorithm. And so Localist is going to display them at the top of any trending lists. Now you can also kind of juice that a little bit by applying the sponsored designation, which is automatically going to move all of your events with that designation to the top of any trending lists. So if there's something you want to feature at the top of a trending list, but maybe not necessarily in the featured carousel, you can go ahead and just sponsor it. Or as you can see, like this event, this one has both. So it's both at the top of the list and in the featured carousel. So one can be, an event can be featured, it can be sponsored, it can be both, or it can be neither. The upcoming tab, pretty self-explanatory, it's just an upcoming chronological list of your events coming up. Now, one thing you'll notice is the size of the card increased as I clicked over here. This is something that can be set up by default, or you can have different sizes on different tabs. So here we have the small 3 across, the medium 2 across, and then I have the one longer component right here set up for academic calendar. And if you ever wanted to toggle that automatically, you can always edit that here in your filter dropdown, which is a great segue to the filter dropdown. So this is the way you'd be able to search events on your platform. You can sort by date, name, popularity. You can set your time frame. And here's where you'll be able to select all of the experiences, whether it's in person or virtual. And then event types, you'll be able to see all of the events coming up for your platform. This number right here represents the number of events in that particular event type taking place over the date range you have set here and when. So over the next year, there are 517 concerts and performances, 260 fundraisers, 145 sporting events, and so on. You have the ability to nest filters. So here you see sporting events, but we also take that a little bit further and offer you the ability to break that out into either intramural or watching sporting events. And lastly, if there are no events, it will simply read 0 over that time frame. You can subscribe to any of the results that you get for a filter result. You can either get the Google, iOS, Windows, or RSS feed. Once you click Apply Filters, it will bring you to a filter results page of all the events fitting your criteria. we'll head back to the home page and we will click on this little button right here with the three dots. This is your calendar resources menu, and this is an out-of-the-box feature with Localist, where it shows pretty much the entire contents of your platform at a glance. Right here, if you just want a simple view of all of your events, click this button, and you'll be able to see all of your events over the next time frame that you have set in your platform. Right here, you can reach the places to go or your places directory, which is we'll talk about in just a second when we talk about classification. But you have the ability to save locations to your platform that are often used that contain extra information about that location, which adds to the event listing itself. You have the ability to do the same thing with your departments. Departments are typically officially sponsored groups or school affiliated groups, such as the different departments or divisions within a school, where groups typically have more of a student-led or off-campus feel to them, art club, Fort Commerce or Chamber of Commerce, and things like that. Now, other calendars, this is where you have the ability to set up a feature we call channels, which I'll get to in just a little bit. But any other channels you set up on your platform will be available right here in this other calendars menu. And this verbiage can be changed. You just need to let us know what you'd like it to say. You can also break out your places and departments into lists in this menu. So if you wanted to see some of them at a glance, possibly even show more, you'll be able to do that as well in case you wanted people to have a quick reference to get to one of these department or place pages that's very popular on your organization. Scrolling down, we'll see these event cards, and you'll automatically see the event type appended to the card. So just at a quick glance, this is a sporting event, ticket pre-sale. You'll see the date, time, and then if there is an associated place page, you can go ahead and click on that, or it'll show you that, and it'll bring you to the place page, which contains some information and other events relating to that location. Scrolling down, if you see again the large planning and event component, this can be moved, edited, changed to different locations around your platform just by dragging and dropping in your channel layout editor, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this is probably the most prominent call to action on your platform to submit an event. And again, this verbiage can be changed to suit your audience. And that's just a quick look at the home page. One thing I do want to call attention to is this button right here that says I'm interested. I'm interested is a functionality kind of like liking an event. Of course, if it doesn't require registration, it's going to let you know. However, indicating that you are interested is kind of like following an event. And now you're going to receive updates on this event, whether it's 24 hours ahead of time, just as a reminder, or after the fact to submit either a review or a comment or a photo, just to kind of engage your audience on that event and get some discussion going on your platform. And that's really a quick glance at your home page. I'm going to jump back into my presentation here. And we're going to talk about classification for your events. So I did kind of get at this a little bit in my tour of the homepage just now, but you're able to add what we call classification to your events to help sort your events, to help make it very easy for your community to find your events. So places, as I mentioned, those are the physical locations where your events take place. So I want you to think buildings, arenas, theaters, libraries, or other meeting places around your campus that are prominent. You really shouldn't think about listing individual rooms like room 201 or room 202 as, unless someone knows what that means, they probably wouldn't know to meet you at room. If I just said meet me at room 202, you're going to need more information than that. However, if a room in a building is named, for instance, like the library or the state arena, that can be indicated on a place page as well. But you can, I would steer away from adding individual room numbers as places. So groups and departments are the hosts of your events. These directories function identically, but they have different titles to help organize large numbers of organizations. And again, the most typical breakdown we see for groups and departments is, groups are typically more student-led and departments are more school-affiliated. But you can use them either way. These can also be retitled on the front end. So if you wanted to say organizations, clubs, official departments, again, whatever language you need to communicate, we'll be able to set that up. So filters are very important. These are these are the categories you use to sort your events. So the three most typical ones we see are your event types, your topics, and your audiences. And when you first start with Localist, we have you brainstorm, your first 6 or 7 most common event types, most common topics, and most common audiences that you're trying to reach. And we'll use those as the basis to how to sort your events going forward. So when someone comes to your platform looking for concerts and performances, they can click that button in the filter dropdown and see all of the events that you have tagged with that particular filter. We recommend, again, about 6 to 7 items per filter family. So 6 to 7 event types, topics, or audiences. Any more than that, you might tend to overwhelm your audience with choice, or you might find that there are just super specific filters that you aren't using. These can always be updated as you go or tweaked as needed. However, we try to set you up at the beginning with a really good representation of your organization just through some brainstorm activities that we do during the onboard process. Ooh. So you can add tags to an event, which add more context and detail on your event listing. Tags are public, so think of them the same way you would use tags on maybe an Instagram post or a Twitter post, where it's going to be publicly accessible, and then clicking on that tag is going to bring you to all of the other events using that same tag. But again, that will list on your event. A great example of this would be, like, let's say, you'll have dozens of fundraisers throughout the year, but only maybe 1 or 2 of them are a bake sale. Bake sale in that instance would be a great tag because you still include the words bake sale on the event. However, you don't really have them often enough to justify a permanent piece of classification like a filter. You can kind of use them as needed while it's still being registered as a fundraiser for your overall platform. You have the ability to add keywords, which are internal and not publicly displayed. So this is a great way to use for SEO purposes, common misspellings. My last name is Marshall. Sometimes people leave off the second L, but you want to make sure that people are able to find that particular event. You can include that as example. Or nicknames. My name is Andrew, but if you wanted to include Andy on an event I was speaking at, that would be something you could do too. Or inversely, you could use Andrew if someone was looking for that name. You have the ability to add custom fields, which are short text, long text, or multiple choice answers, which can be made required for your admin form or public form. Again, you have the options for short, like simple text field, long, rich text editor, or again, a multiple choice. Usually good for, say, like, I don't know, t-shirt size if you're doing a fundraising event that offers a t-shirt. Lastly, you have the ability to highlight frequent speakers on your campus with the speakers functionality. This is just if you have recurring or frequent notable guest speakers and you want to highlight them with a small page on the platform that kind of contains a photograph and a small bio. You have the ability to highlight speakers across your platform that way. So I alluded earlier to the public event submission form and the different ways that you can access that using the from your calendar homepage. But again, here are the 3. It is at the top of your homepage and in that submit an event component. And submitting an event publicly sends it to your platform's pending queue, which is really more of it's a kind of a waiting room for events to be approved that are either submitted by members of the public or an event author that does not have the ability to publish their events. But here you'll just see a quick example. The information that's required on the public event form is a name, a description, and a start date. And then the rest of the information can always be added later. However, in order to submit that event, it requires those 3 pieces of information. Next, if you have admin access to the admin dash and you can add events, you'll be able to use the admin add event form. I'm going to say admin a lot here, so bear with me. But yeah, so you can reach that from the admin dash, the events menu, and then clicking add an event. Submitting from this form will automatically publish it if you have privileges. Otherwise, it will go to the pending queue if you are an event author. However, almost every other permission will be able to publish right away. And you can see this one has more robust fields and ways to make better event listings. So your basic information here, the minimum amount of information required to use the admin dash is the name and a start date. However, you see you can add details, offer tickets and registration, options about attendee engagement, and then a few other options before you actually publish the event. Um, and speaking of, let's take a quick look at the admin dash. Now, if you are on the the homepage and you have admin access capabilities, you can always click your icon and select administration, and that's going to bring you right to your your platform's admin dashboard. And here you can kind of see everything at a glance, your upcoming events, how many things are in the pending queue, how many users you have on the platform, and a quick look at your event reach score overall as an average of all of your events. Event reach is a metric we use to kind of determine how much information is added to your events. So this is a great score. A minimum event reach score for an event would probably be about 70. So it looks like all the events here have the requisite amount of information that's going to really build up that score. So the more information you add, the better this is, the easier it is for people to find when they're on your platform. Here over to the right, you'll be able to see where you can add an event here. If you have the ability to add conferences, which is a feature I'll get into in a subsequent webinar, so be sure to look out for that. Here's where you'd be able to bulk add events or set up a feed. Here's where you can take a quick look at the pending queue, where you'll see any events waiting for you, the ability to review them, approve or reject them right here from this menu, and clicking review actually opens up a preview of the event. Slowly but surely. We'll go ahead and just take my word for it there, so we're not waiting on that. However, you'll be able to review it right from there and approve it or reject and offer a reason to the admin as to why you rejected it. Here's where you'll be able to add your classification, your places, groups, departments, filters, custom fields, and speakers, all the things I just talked about in that last slide. And again, if you have the ability to see your user base, you'll be able to see all users, the admin activity, and then the activity of your users throughout the day. You'll be able to take a look at your widgets and channels and your photo library. Again, things I'll be talking about in just another slide. You have the ability to set up your bulletin newsletter campaigns, both the campaigns, which is the content of your email, and the contact list, which is who you're sending them to. And then, of course, the metrics we offer for your platform, approval and response time, audience geography, events created, trending events, social activity, users created, and then a link to your Google Analytics, which we do recommend using. Lastly, the settings menu, where you'll be able to find your platform settings and all the apps and integrations. And if we take a quick look at the platform settings, this is where you'd be able to edit the platform name, add an address, a contact email, and set up the platform time zone for your platform as a default, so that all of the events will display in that time zone. And that is a super quick look at the admin dash. I do encourage you to check out some of the videos I have in the Concept 3D Help Center at help.concept3d.com that go in depth into a lot of the items I just covered there. And I will be sure to cover them in a future workshop as well. But in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into my presentation and just mention some of the additional features and tools. One of the things you have is our Localist offers ticket purchases and free registration with the Localist Register feature. That is a built-in feature to your platform that allows you to offer purchases and registration on a per event basis that needs to be set up by a person in the admin dash. You have the ability to send those newsletters and email blasts with your bulletin newsletter function. And you have the ability to create and embed Localist widgets on external pages to promote your events externally. And a widget is an embed that you can put on literally any external web page, which is going to display your event information. And clicking on an event in a widget will always lead it back to your calendar, kind of centralizing that traffic. So it's a great way to promote your events externally, maybe on your organization's homepage, or if there are any specialized web pages associated with your organization, they can have their own widget and display only their events. They're very versatile in what they can do. So please check out the Help Center for more information on widgets. And you can also promote topical home pages within your platform using channels. I did allude to this when previously in that calendar resources drawer, when it shows the other calendars. If you want a calendar that only has information about your sporting events or your volunteer opportunities, you can have a specialized homepage for just those types of events, which you'd be able to use a custom vanity URL for to send people directly to when they're looking for it externally. Just another great way to promote your events that you're already adding to the calendar. And we have many different kinds of events that you can add. We don't just have just regular events here at Localist. Obviously, I mentioned before, we have featured and sponsored events, which you can promote using the featured carousel at the top of your homepage, or add that sponsored event tag on your homepage events to kind of boost them in that Localist trending algorithm. You can set up recurring events, events that pretty much have the same exact information every single time, but maybe the date changes, perhaps, a weekly meeting or something that is going to happen every second Tuesday of the month for the next 6 months. You can set those up in advance so that it always shows that information on your calendar and always automatically defaults to the next occurring date in that list. You have the ability to set up conferences. Conferences are kind of an overarching event with smaller scheduled events fit within. I think a good example of this might be something like a music festival. The event is Woodstock, but there's all these little tiny events that happen within Woodstock that you want to give attention to, maybe have their own page to review the information of. But definitely check out the Help Center for more on conferences. Localist supports in-person, hybrid, and virtual events. So if you have both an event taking place in person or only via Zoom, or perhaps both, Localist can support all three of those scenarios within the admin dash. You have the ability to kind of make private events or keep mundane events or announcements from kind of cluttering up your homepage. You want your homepage to have more of the dynamic, exciting events, and maybe some of the due dates and deadlines kind of muddy things up. So you do have the ability to make events private so that they're only visible via direct URL or typing it into your browser. And again, you can restrict events to your specific location. So you can have events that only appear within a channel, only appear on a widget, only appear on a specific group or department page, or only appearing to your logged in users. So to kind of create more of a inclusive feel to your calendar, you can have events that are only allowed to be seen by people who have taken the time to log in and participate with your calendar. All right, so just to review our resources here, all of our clients receive a dedicated client success manager to help achieve best results and keep up with the latest features and functionality as we release it. I've plugged this a number of times here, but our robust documentation is available at help.concept3d.com with step-by-step guides to enable self-service. And if you can't find what you're looking for, please do reach out to us. You can always open a ticket with us at support@concept3d.com, and my team will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Quick look at the upcoming webinar schedule for winter 2024. We have the Interactive Map 101 Beginner's Guide is going to be February 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And then the 360 Tour and Tour Builder Overview is going to be February 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So please visit help.concept3d.com for links to register or contact us following the presentation, and we'll be sure to send all of those goods and links your way. Please check us out on YouTube at Concept 3D Models. All of my previous webinars and workshops are there live, along with a bunch of other videos that I have set up over the last year to help make all of the products here at Concept 3D a little bit easier for you. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out.